Today's gospel presents a scene that is very dear to my heart. It depicts the sisters of Lazarus in a universal sibling rivalry for approval. You like me better than her, right? I mean, look at all that I'm doing. That makes me better, right? Fortunately, life isn't that shallow. And the worth of who you are isn't found in doing, but in being. Being you. The true you. Who you are is an essential reality. It makes you, you. So this simple rivalry isn't the point of the story. It really is about something more. In the Middle Ages, the church writers saw in Martha and Mary the embodiment of two ways of life: the active life of practical concerns and the contemplative life of spiritual concerns. Many people opposed these ways of life, seeing the spiritual as superior. I think that if we look closely, we will see that they are both the same reality. In addition, I think that this is also found in our first reading from Genesis, where Abraham goes from being still, sitting in the shade of a great oak tree, to being active, to serving the needs of these three strangers who mysteriously appeared. Both accounts invite us to examine the relationship between our being and our doing, our sense of contemplation and action, because these touch on the deeper dimensions of truth and goodness in our world. For those of you who do not know this, I belong to an organization that will be 800 years old in 2016, the Dominican Order. Our motto of Veritas, truth, places a premium on study and prayer. It strives to balance being and doing, contemplation and action. So my comments are fashioned out of that tradition. I am painfully aware of a growing need in our world for both of these dimensions and our present inability to connect the dots. It seems to me that we are becoming too activist, too set on seeing what we do as who we are. My grades, my job, my things begin to define us. We fall prisoners to the impossible dictum of good, better, best. Never let it rest until the good is better and the better best. Such ambition can naively seem attractive, but there is a flaw in that road to perfection. That flaw is this: a person never discovers the real self. The inner person that has beauty beyond the beautiful, that knows a strength only born out of weakness, and who realizes a love that is only forged in the fires of suffering and brokenheartedness. We labor under a false notion of self, a plastic Hollywood trick that makes material things more important than people, and that makes the counterfeit forgery seem more real than reality itself. Such materialism and consumerism, our insatiable lust for something more, in the end, burns us out. We adorn ourselves with the external fineries of fame or fortune, but somehow we never feel quite right. Foolishly and recklessly, we try to fill the hollow emptiness of our life with things or pleasures or power, investing more and more in a lie that ultimately destroys us. Notice just how easily nowadays anger erupts in violence, vindictiveness, and slander. Envy and jealousy drain our energy in the lie that happiness is somewhere outside ourselves. We lash out at one another, blaming others for what is our own poison, plotting ways to get even, working on how to destroy them. Hate baiting is the surest sign of a soulless person. It seems pretty obvious, at least to me, that we see such symptoms even today, that society is losing something essential, something of its very being. One might ask, are we headed to becoming a nation of little or no substance, a society with no there? Here is where St. Paul's letter to the Colossians is a cry that ought to alarm us and to a degree leave us disturbed. There is something hidden, something deep within that is being revealed, but we keep missing it. How often in life do we take for granted that which is closest to us? That which we think wrongly is unlikely or unimportant. We neglect our time in prayer. We abandon the church or tell ourselves it doesn't matter. We just miss it. Well, let me tell you, there are things more than meet the eyes. They are things that we will only know by being still, by opening our hearts and minds to see the reality hidden in our midst. These mysteries are not found in what we do, but in who we are, the kind of person fashioned from our deeds. There is a link between our action and our contemplation. For in contemplation, we discover what is true about ourselves and our world, what is most genuine about life. That is true wisdom. It is this light of truth that in turn leads us to know the good, to find in things, in our doing of things, what is the truest good. We move beyond the external to an inner awareness, an awakening of God's grace at work in us. Just as any sailor is lost without a true star to guide the journey and navigate the uncharted seas, so too, each one of us finds the journey more meaningful, the struggles less burdensome, and the challenges made richer when we are guided by the interior chambers of true self-knowledge. Study and prayer, not mere bookish study or mere recited prayer, but study and prayer that arise from the depth of the truest self, is how we discover the good in life, what is truly good. Martha was reminded by the Lord that such contemplation is the better part, but it is only part, for it must bear fruit in service. Abraham, the contemplative, moves from the stillness of the day's heat to serve the needs of these three strangers. His actions arise from an inner truth and manifests itself in the genuine good of service. For his kindness, he is given a promise. Nothing more than a laughable promise, but he puts his faith in that promise. I am amazed at how wrong we learned and clever people in America are. We seem to have messed things up. How, with all our technology and social networking, do we miss the point? Amid all our Twitters and our tweets, behind all our cosmetics and our product, our images and our labels, we so rarely stop to see the something more. Take the time to learn, to refresh yourself and drink from the spiritual wells of your Catholic faith. Stillness is a great gift. It makes us look at life more closely. You may resist it at first. You may even want to abandon it. But the only way to find the gospel's hidden treasure is in being still, in sitting during the heat of the day and encountering the divine. The mystery is this: Christ is in our midst. Generations have rushed it by, and over centuries many have forgotten it. But you know it now. What was hidden is made known. I encourage you in these fleeting days of summer to stop. Be still. Find in your day a time to just be, to sit under a tree and listen, to give yourself time to pray in the quiet moments of the morning or in the sleepy evening hours. Take note of who you are and not fret about what you have done. A great woman contemplative, Catherine of Siena, put it well. We are rewarded not according to our work, but according to the measure of our love. May we each choose the better part, and without distraction, put our love into service.